So I have my Ridgid table saw here, and I've been having some problems with it. It's been wanting to start really rough. So I've taken the blade off of it. I've also taken the pulley that runs from the arbor down to the motor off, just to show you what's happening. It starts real rough, and then it trips a breaker. So in here we have the motor, and then I took the plate off that held the start and the run capacitor. I checked those on my meter, and those are fine. What I think it is up in here in the motor, there's a centrifugal switch. I think something is wrong with that, and it's never getting out of the start mode with the capacitors. So we're gonna take this bad boy apart and see if that's a problem. And I had a problem with the switch just last week, and so maybe I fixed something wrong. Alright, I'm gonna try and take it apart. Have it flipped over. First thing I'm going to need to do is there some socket head cap screws right there. I'll get this base off. 6 mil. Pro tip: put the screws back where they came from. So you know where they go. So now we have that off. We need to get the orange metal shroud off, and to do that we'll need to remove this indicator thing here, the hand wheel all front, which is easy, and then we're gonna have to remove this side piece, which is actually not as bad as it looks. And then we should be able to take this off by undoing the cap screws, M6 in all the corners. Alright, let's start over here. Now basically what we're going to do is we're going to unwind this and see how there's a nut there. And we can just unwind this whole thing and take it out. So the whole handle assembly with the hardware, we're just going to stick that off to the side. So now we have to take care of that little dial indicator. Before I just undid the screw here, maybe we'll just do that again. Take this handle off as well. Alright, to fully remove this, we're going to have to remove the wire from the motor. So we just have to open that up and then take this little grommet thing out. Then there's the clip here that attached to the motor fan case. Or pop that out too. Alright, so I got it off. We have the 4 wires coming out of the motor. I believe it goes 2 are for the primary and then 1's for the secondary, which is attached to the capacitors. Since I've already checked the capacitors and they're good, I'm probably going to just put that housing back on and then we'll take it from there. So the next step we have to do is get the motor off of this mount. And since I've already done this before, I know it's relatively easy. Move the motor on the side here, and all you need to do is take off, which I've already loosened this bolt before. Loosen this bolt to loosen up the pulley. Take this off. And then I'll get a big socket wrench to take this guy off. Take this nut off, we need a 15/16. I'm sure it's metric, but this is the closest standard I have. Alright, we are free.
Both sides right along.
Alright, so we have the motor completely off. Might as well just take this fan off, and basically it's this is a reverse thread, so to loosen it we have to go right with it, and I found an impact driver actually works best. And then we can remove these 4 screws. Go right. Goes right on out. There's a washer there. This is me realizing that there is a set screw holding the fan on the motor shaft. It takes an M3 hex driver to loosen it. I try to always take pictures of my progress as I go so I know how it was and so I can put it back together. Just rotating this to try and get it to come off. I had to run out to the auto parts store to get a 3-jaw puller. Last time I got the motor housing open by banging on it with a hammer. However, I don't recommend it as it could damage the bearings inside the motor. Okay. So not much problems there. That bearing seems to be so back here on the back of the motor, all we pretty much have is bearings and the coils. So this is the stator, and then we have the rotor in here. And I thought maybe this bearing might be bad, because last time I didn't use a puller, I just banged on it until it came off. So, but I mean, it seems okay, it's spinning fine. Doesn't seem like it has much wiggle at all to it, so that's probably fine. I can show you what's going on. So I had one of these cables get wrapped up in here in this clutch and got all frayed. So these cables go to this centrifugal switch I was telling you about. So what happens is this opens up when it starts spinning. It opens that up. So, gonna try and figure out how to repair that and make sure it's all fine and dandy. That's pretty fucked up. Okay, well, at least we know what the problem is. We should be able to take care of it. Okay, so I have the rotor off, out, completely detached. So the one wire broke, and then I removed the other wire for the centrifugal switch. So somehow it got snagged on there. And then here's the stator. These are the wires for the aforementioned switch. So I'll probably strip this back a little bit, put a terminal on it, and button it all back up and see where we go. Before you put it back together, you want to make sure that this screw is good and tight, because otherwise when these things pull out, you can't do it with one hand, but you can pull this tab and this tab outwards from each other, and it'll lift this plate up, causing that switch right there to open. Put a new terminal on here. I had to put a new one on the old one anyways. Alright, so one of the things you want to do when you are putting the motor back together, you'll make sure the capacitor bulge is in line with the rack for the lift on the table. And to do this, I put 2 screws in, and then these go and match in the screw holes up here, so that way it's in the right orientation. Last time I had it on backwards, and what happens is when you went to go lift the table up, it would crush this, and so you couldn't get it up all the way. And what I think I did is I just spun it around inside, and that caused those wires on the centrifugal switch to get wrapped around, and then I think it opened and it broke them off eventually. So hopefully this will be the final fix for it. I'm gonna take, once I put these in and lined it up, I just push it against here so it's pressure fit. I'll back these screws out real quick, I'll put the cap on, tighten it all up, and then I'll hook it up and see if it runs. Okay, so I got the motor back together, and I wired it up with a temporary cord just to see, and I basically just followed the instructions on the inside of the cover for the cord, and hooking up 120. So my hot line from the wall goes to the red and the yellow, which red, yellow, black, and then the neutral, the white, goes to the black and the white wire. So neutral there goes to the white and the black. Alright, time to fire it up and see what goes on. Okay, it's spinning, no problem. And you hear that click? That click is the switch opening. And let's see if, when we turn it on, if you can hear it. Yep. So I have the motor back on. Make sure you have the belt going over the pulley coming off the motor, and then you have to tension it. So don't tighten this down all the way, but what you do to tension it is you can put the handle back on temporarily, and you can twist it, and it will pull the motor, but it won't pull this up until the pulley's tight, or the belt is tight. So when the belt starts moving the arbor shaft, then you know it's tight, and you can tighten this down, and it will lock tension on. You can see there's still a little bit of give to it, but that's fine. The motor shaft moves, that's just fine. So what I'll do is I'll then put the fan housing back on, and start to wrap it up. Alright, so I have it wired back up now, again per the instructions on there for 120. I don't have a saw blade on, but we're gonna It's all plugged in, ready to go. Let's see if it still works. It should. Okay, and it's spin in the right direction. So we're good to go. Just continue putting it back together. I'll put the shoes for the dust collector on and the base. Well, first I have to put the tilting mechanism back in here, and then the base and all that, and we should be good to go then. All right.